What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla, SPY, and the overall market. I'm also going to break down some big news that's going on with the market moving forward, as we have some new news involving Chinese stimulus that caused NIO to see a bit of a dip. I'm going to break down what's happening with the markets and why we have big data for tomorrow with the FOMC minutes and how this may affect the markets as well. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Weeble link. If you deposit any amount of money, you're guaranteed 12 free stocks. If you deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 in total. And deposit $25,000 or more, and you're guaranteed 75. The offer is very soon in just 3 weeks. Anyways, now let's talk about NIO. So looking at NIO, this share price is dipping a little bit as we got this bad news. This happened as a result of some new developments for Chinese economic stimulus. And we saw this big sell-off as a result of what was announced. So I'm going to talk about why that was in just a second. I'm also going to talk about the broader markets. So what happened was China's top economic planner, the National Development and Reform Commission, held a press conference announcing stimulus measures to boost the economy. Now, the anticipation of the event was very, very high, with high expectations. And we were basically hoping for more details in a bigger stimulus package. However, they barely said much about that. And that's part of the reason why we got a more negative response. So the entire Chinese stock market saw a big dump. And this ended up affecting a lot of Chinese companies. This has nothing to do with like NIO's fundamentals or for why NIO ended up selling off. It just got caught up in a very, very big piece of news. So it is what it is, guys. We just have to continue nonetheless. So for tomorrow, it's going to be Wednesday, October 9th, 2024. We have a couple of Fed speakers like Logan giving speeches, but then later on during the day, with Logan and Williams giving their speeches, we also have the FOMC minutes at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see how things end up developing with that coming out. We're watching to see what the Fed ends up telling us. Right now, the market's expecting a 50 basis point cut. There's an 86.7% chance we get that, at least as of right now. So we'll see what happens, at least as we approach November. On top of this, I want to mention that for earnings, there's not much coming out until Friday when we have JP Morgan and Wells Fargo announcing earnings. For other factors out there, we also happen to have some big events right here. Nvidia had its AI summit and the conference is continuing today. PepsiCo also had earnings for Tuesday. And then for tomorrow, we have the FOMC minutes. This is once again getting us ahead of CPI for Thursday. So don't forget, this is going to be the big factor that's coming up. As far as news involving Israel goes, there's been a lot of fears right now about what's happening right now. There is a large chance that Israel might end up responding to what happened last week involving Iran, and they might end up once again striking a lot of oil facilities in Iran or different things like that. We'll see what they end up announcing. Could affect the market, so just be very careful with this, and we'll have to see how things end up developing. So we'll see if they end up striking a nuclear side, which I think is very unlikely. They're more likely to essentially target something different, such as the oil fields. We'll see if that ends up being the case. We'll be very patient, so we're waiting for that, and this could be a little negative for the markets. So we'll see about that. It's affecting crude and such. Besides that, as far as NIO goes, we have 82 million in volume. That's above average. And then JP Morgan gave them an overweight rating. So what's happening to the share price? We could dip a little bit more. It's about 6.03. If that fails us, we're looking for a bigger dump to about this 5.68 area. But if this holds, 6.03 holds, we could attempt to rebound to fill this gap. I think that there might be a small dip coming to 6.03 before it tries to rebound, so we'll see how things go. That's what my general view of NIO is for now. For other factors out there, we have SPY. This is looking a little bit more bullish as buyers are stepping in again, defending. It's going into tomorrow, depending on what happens with Israel, we could dip just a little bit, gap down and dip a little bit, and there could be a bullish continuation actually as the market is looking pretty strong right here. We have a lot of momentum as we're holding our 20 EMA, and if they try to push this to all-time highs, the FOMC events might be a bullish catalyst. I still have not changed my view. Yes, the market could continue to pump. Yes, they could try to hold this up a little bit longer, but I believe that as we get closer to November, as we get closer to the election, we're going to be looking for a nice little pullback, a nice correction that is still brewing. I believe SPY will eventually come down to fill many of these imbalances, and there's going to be a correction that is brewing as we have a nice rising wedge-like structure. But we're not ready yet for that big dump. We're not ready to see it pan out, so we have to give this a little bit more time to develop. With that being said, the market could start on a little bit of a low end tomorrow morning before it tries to push after FOMC minutes. We might attempt to break all-time highs. If we lose 566, we turn more bearish. And as long as we break past and hold above 572, I think we could continue this rally for all-time highs. Momentum looks strong, so the market may push more, but just know that I wouldn't turn extremely bullish. I think that we could remain bullish for the time being, but I'm not going to be extremely bullish because I still think that there's going to be a big pullback coming. I think ES will come down to fill this gap eventually, and we have more gaps down below. So once again, my view has not necessarily shifted, and we will see how things end up developing from here. So once again, look for a slowdown tomorrow morning in an attempt to continue to push for all-time highs. And then after that, even if we are at all-time highs, this could shift depending on how things go. As far as Tesla goes, we are holding up very nicely. We still have these gaps to fill above. I think that as long as Tesla holds 242, this could attempt to rebound very soon. We might be pushing to fill this gap. So it could be a big bounce coming to Tesla. I do favor that as we approach the Robotaxi event. We're only like 2 days away, so we might be looking for a bounce on Tesla. Nvidia remains bullish, is trying to break out right here. Could be trying to fill this imbalance. Tomorrow we could be looking for 136 as it's pushing with the AI summit. So it's doing a good job. For Bitcoin, we are looking at support at 62,000, also 61,500. We could be looking at this support here and see if we could try to get a rebound. If we end up losing 61,500, we could be dipping lower. So watch to see if we get a bounce from here and hold up very nicely. So that being said, with other factors like NQ trying to push higher, if 20,400 ends up breaking, we're going to be looking for a bigger push for the imbalance above. If we end up losing 19,933, we could be dipping lower. My gut tells me we might dip a little bit in the morning and then try to continue to push. They might try to push this to these imbalances and back up closer to all-time highs, or at least the highs from up here. We could see an attempt to get up there for NQ. However, like I said in my previous videos, it's not necessarily the end of the world. Even if we do push a little bit higher, I still believe that there is downside potential that's coming later on as we approach some big events and we get closer to the election. For the QQQ, we have a lot of gaps to fill below. Do not forget about them. I think that there's a good chance this attempts to push a little bit higher. And we might start off a little bit low tomorrow around the 487s, then try to rebound for the 490s. I think there's a good chance we go up to about 494 all over again and complete this gap fill for 495. And then we'll see what happens after that as we remain more bullish. For Aapl, we could dip a bit, then try to rebound to try filling some of these gaps. We have the 226 gap, not to mention more above that. So look for a dip and then a bounce is the most likely case, and we'll see how things develop from here. That's it for the rest of my video. I'm going to keep this one kind of short. Amazon could attempt to fill the gap up to about 185 because we have Prime Day and it's holding up nicely. But then there could still be a big rejection coming later on as we get closer to the election. For Meta, Meta has this resistance around this 600 area. If it rejects here, we could be dipping back down later on towards the 590 area and then 585 below that. So look for a little push, and then we'll see what kind of rejection we get if that ends up being the case. Microsoft's looking a little bit more bearish. We're dipping right now. We're looking for 409 as our support, followed by 400. And we have resistance up here around this 422 area. We could attempt to bounce and see if we get a rejection. So give this some more time. For Google, Google is once again at this support around 165. If we lose this, we're looking for a dip back down towards this gap fill. If we hold this, we could attempt to rebound. My gut tells me it's going to bounce a little bit with the FOMC minutes, but then it might continue to dip back down lower. So I still think there might be a downtrend being established as we had a high here, came down, and made a lower high. So that's what my view is, at least for the time being. So what is my view of the markets? We might start off with a little bit of a slowdown tomorrow morning because of what's happening involving Israel. But later on during the day, we could push higher, just like how we did today, and try to approach all-time highs. We could even, excuse me, we could even try to break them after FOMC minutes are released. But then, even if we do pump to new all-time highs, even if SPY breaks 575 and gets closer to 580, hey, I'm not a perma bull. I still think the market is setting up for a much bigger downturn as we get closer to the election. I still hold that view because of complications and cycles. I'll go more over this later on in my videos, but until then, have a great day, guys, and peace out.